Hello everybody, this is going to be a quick little video on how to set up a ReWire application within Logic Pro, and I'm just going to show quickly how I utilize that in pretty much every score in using Ableton Suite or Ableton Live. So let's start here. So first, you want to open up Logic Pro first, or whatever your main DAW is. We're obviously working in Logic today, so you would launch this first. And then, since we're going to work with Ableton Live, we're going to launch that next. If you don't do this, it won't work. Don't worry, you won't break anything, but as we launch Ableton Live, since Logic's already open, you can't see it on the screen, but it says that it's running as a ReWire slave. Your application that runs in ReWire should say something like that when you launch it, if you've done it correctly. So now Ableton has opened, and let's go back to Logic for a second. There's a couple of things we want to do, especially since it's our first time doing this. First, let's open up the preferences in Logic. I hit Apple comma, and we go to the Audio tab. At the very bottom, I don't think this is set to this default in Logic Pro. You want to go to ReWire Behavior and set this to Live mode. I think it's default at Playback mode. If you don't do this, you're going to have some serious latency issues. So if you have some really wonky stuff going on with the audio, if this is your first time trying to set up a ReWire, this is probably the first place that you should look to see what's going on. So now that we've done that, now we need to set Logic up to receive audio from Ableton. And this is really easy. I'm going to hit Apple 2 to bring up my mixing environment, or whatever command you have to use. Then I'm going to hit Option Command N to, in this environment, create a new aux channel. Right? Let's just rename this ReWire. Okay. All we have to do now is, in this input section here, you'll see Ableton Live is listed, and all of these different options. We're going to make it really easy. We're just going to pick the mix left and right. What this is going to do is accept all of the audio that goes to the master out in Ableton Live. So to spare ourselves from having our ears blown off, turn that up, but not too much. And let's go back to Ableton. And this is one of the things that I love the most, is now Ableton is essentially anything that's exclusive to Ableton or Ableton Live instruments and mixing plugins can all be run, and Ableton is really just a vast instrument plugin, just like Contact or any other synth. And to show that, we're just going to, on this MIDI channel here, we're going to pick something that's exclusive to Ableton. I like a lot of the sample Logic stuff. And let me just pick something that we can play here. I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll just pick something. Let me turn this down a little bit. So we have this little pad that I'm playing here. The track is armed here in Ableton. And if we go back to Logic on this ReWire channel, excuse me, we are getting the audio from the master out in Ableton. So we can have as many tracks in here as we want and play as many Ableton instruments that we want, or that your system can handle, and anything that goes out of Ableton is going to come out on our ReWire channel strip. Now we could get a little more complicated. As you saw, there were a lot of options in the input section, so you can have any kind of combination you want of what comes out of Ableton from where and goes into Logic. But this is the easiest and most simple way to do it, especially with Ableton. We can throw any of their mixing plugins on their stuff and mix in Ableton as well. Kind of have like two separate mixing boards. Again, it's just kind of what you're trying to go for. Now you'll notice in Ableton, if we go to the plugin section where it sees your audio units and VSTs, this is going to be blank. If you want to use these, you just have to use your main DAW. So if we pick this, we'll just pick Contact for now. All of those will be able to be used in your host. So you can still pull up any one of our software libraries in Contact, or any one of our synths, and we can start combining. The other thing that you'll notice is if we go up here and check our tempos at 120, we're in 4/4. You know, if we go back to Ableton, we'll notice the tempos at 120, we're in 4/4. If you want to change that, you know, we can change the tempo to 155. If we go back to Ableton, we'll see it's changed at 155. So same thing with any automation you do in here or here, you know, it's going to be transferred over, so it's nice. It's a really loaded question. How does ReWire work? What can you do with it? But this was just a kind of a simple way of how to set it up, what it looks like to get the ball rolling for you. If your application that you bought supports ReWire, here's how you would set it up in Logic. It should automatically show up in this input list on your auxiliary channel that you set up for ReWire if you installed it correctly. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and until next time.